Tiffany here, and I have an exciting trip planned for us today. We're going to be heading over to Connecticut to do a tour of Createx Colors Headquarters. So let's go.
Hi, come on in. Hello, welcome to Createx Colors. My name is Craig Kennedy, president of Createx Colors, and glad to have you with us today. A little bit about us. Createx was founded in 1978 by Vince and Wendy Kennedy, my parents, and the company's first products were acrylics for the classroom for grades K through 12. During the 1980s, Createx Colors was primarily used for the educational markets and for the fiber arts. That's where the word Createx comes from, for it means create textile. This was later furthered when the first airbrush colors came out, the Createx Airbrush colors, which is our most popular product. Its primary use, especially when it started, was for painting fabrics and t-shirts. Today, Createx Colors makes a wide variety of paints. We're kind of color specialists. We don't make paint systems. We focus on making airbrush colors, colors for the graphic and theming arts, fine arts, really specializing in paints that atomize well with an airbrush and spray gun. And we try to cater to the wide variety of artistic needs you would have for painting a lot of industries that require specialty paints. We have a few of these cool company signs in the lobby made by Steve Van Diemen, a friend of the company. This one is our Candy 2.0 line, which is our line of water-based dyes that are perfect for automotive, cosplay, modeling, and anything fun to paint. Candy 2.0 is one of my favorite paint brands Createx makes. The name was developed by Craig Fraser. In fact, the Candy line color palette was developed by Craig Fraser, another artist friend of the company. And this is one of our more recent developments we came out with in 2016. It's one of my favorite parts of the company, and if you haven't tried Candy 2.0, give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. We have a few paintings in the hallways of Createx, some artists that have done a lot of work with the company over the years. This is the Aphrodite painting by Gary Worthington, which we've featured a lot of the marketing, and Gary Worthington has been a long-time Createx instructor and friend of the company. This painting's by Terry Hill. If you're familiar with Createx Colors, Terry Hill passed away recently, but Terry Hill and Createx have had a long history together. And if it wasn't for Terry Hill, perhaps Createx Airbrush Colors would not have been as well known as they are to this day. Terry was one of the first big ambassadors of the Createx brand into the airbrush world, and he's forever held in a very high place in our hearts here at Createx. So thank you, Terry Hill. This is the Flaming Skull by Drew Blair, well known for his photorealism, but does a lot of automotive classes with photorealism as well as on other substrates. And when Drew started to use Createx Colors, he really helped Createx break down the barrier for people not understanding that fine detail and fine line performance with a water-based paint can be done with airbrushing. So it really kind of sets a mark with the Createx development, showing that fine line automotive detail can be done with a water-based paint. And that's the Drew Blair Flaming Skull. Thank you, Drew. I guess I'd like to show you a little history of the Createx development with some bottles here in my office, a little office tchotchke. This was the first product Createx manufactured, the poster and fabric paint. This is great for grades K through 12. It's what started the company in 1978, and during the 80s, Createx was primarily involved in the art and education school markets with the poster and fabric paint. It wasn't until 1991, 1992 that the Createx Airbrush Colors came out. Technically before that it was a private label called T-Wiz, but the first Airbrush Colors product bearing the Createx logo was the Createx Airbrush Colors, and that's the product we're most well known for. This is not the original label, it was the oldest label I could get my hands on to show. We've had a lot of products since then. Actually, after Airbrush Colors came a failed product attempt, Illustration Colors. We later introduced this later, years down the road, but our first attempt at the Illustration Colors, which much earlier than people recognized, but this was a very short-lived failed product. The Autowear Colors was really the big product that came after the Createx Airbrush Colors, and at one point in time, this was the largest color palette that Createx made. This brought us into a new direction with working with new types of acrylics and pushing more for hard surface performance that you would have in automotive. From the outerwear colors came the Wicked colors. Now, most people won't recognize this label if you know Wicked colors, but this was the original label. I believe Wicked colors came out in 2008, 2009, and it was a harder acrylic color than what we'd use with the Createx Airbrush colors, and it helped further push us into the hard surface realm. But being an acrylic, you can still use it for t-shirts. We've always called the Wicked colors multi-surface because it really works with any kind of paint project outside of silicone. We even had Wicked colors available in Mexico in its own size and Spanish labeling. We used to do a lot of art classes in Mexico City, and I've always tried to engage the Mexican market on its own accord with Spanish labeling. This was a short-lived product, but it's part of our history, the Mexican distribution of Wicked colors in its own sizes. After Wicked colors came Autoborn Sealer. This was our first good primer. To this day, all of our paint specifications start with Autoborn Sealer. And the Autoborn 6000 transparent sealer is a phenomenal plastic adhesion promoter. So Autoborn Sealer came after Wicked colors and gave us more of a paint system, at least having a primer that it was a good ground starting coat anytime starting Createx colors on hard surface. After Wicked Detail colors and Wicked colors came the illustration colors. These were developed with Drew Blair and his photorealism techniques, where there was a lot of redactive technique using an amine such as Windex. And initially, the initial illustration colors was not even intended to be sold. We were just making it for the Drew Blair program for his school, the School of Realism. But we later developed the illustration colors into line. Today includes Bloodline, Lifeline, and other specialty colors. The illustration colors is our kind of flagship for high performance work. After the illustration colors came Candy 2.0. These are metal complex dyes that are very suitable for using for exterior finishes from motorcycles, cars, but also used for cosplay, like the Iron Man armor. And the Candy 2.0 are great for scale modeling, and it's a very light, fast dye that works very well with other colors, especially going over a silver or gold base. With the Candy 2.0 came our first use of urethane resins. This was a big development in Createx's evolution. We had a bleed checker, which would go over the candies to prevent them from leaching into other colors, and that was the urethane resin. And then the 4030 balancing clear and later the 4050 or the UVLS clears were more development of Createx using a combination of water-soluble acrylics and urethane resins and blending them to get really good high-performance colors that you would not get with traditional acrylics. So it's kind of the development of our product line. And show development without showing our mascot, Vinny. Vinny is named after Vincent Kennedy, the founder of the company. And this was developed by Javier Soto, West Coast Javi as we call him. But Javier Soto developed and created the Vinny mascot for Createx. One little thing before we go here, the painting right behind me. This is the Nightmare Bike test panel painted by Blake McCulley, otherwise known as Cross-Eyed. This was done with AutoAir back in 2003. And this bike got a lot of recognition, and it was the first really high-profile pick of water-based being used on an award-winning vehicle for automotive, in this case a motorcycle. And Blake McCulley, he broke down a lot of barriers by doing the Nightmare Bike, of showing kind of how Createx and water-based paints can be used for automotive, showing depth, subtlety of color, being applied with a lot of good leveling, and having a urethane catalyzed clear go over it for legitimate automotive finish that it doesn't matter whether it was solvent-based or water-based, the paint was looking good and durable. So that's the Blake McCulley Nightmare test panel. And as far as the development with Createx, this was a good milestone for our achievements. I'm in the Createx Colors warehouse. Createx was started in 1978, but it wasn't until 1988 that we moved into our current location here in East Granby, Connecticut, which is essentially Hartford, Connecticut. We're right next to the Bradley International Airport in Connecticut, which when we have classes and artists visit makes it very easy because we're 2 minutes away from the airport, easy to find right off the highway. Behind me are the Createx Airbrush colors. And we keep a healthy stock of all of our products so we can turn our orders out to our vendors without back ordering. Createx colors are made in the USA. We manufacture the paints right here in East Granby, Connecticut, And the majority of our raw materials are made in the United States. Our raw materials, such as the resins, come from Connecticut and the Carolinas. There's one resin that comes from Germany, but most of our resins are made here in the US. Our pigments are made here in the US, as well as a lot of our ingredients. So Createx Colors is truly made in the USA, and we're proud to say that. At Createx, we're very well known for making lots of airbrush colors in 1 ounce bottles and 2 ounce bottles and very small sizes. In order to handle all these brands of paint, all those small bottles, we have production set up that we have the paints made independent of what orders are coming in-house. So if a large order comes in for multiple bottles of 1 ounce bottles of paint, we get that order out in 2 to 4 days without back ordering. So finishes in a 1 ounce bottle, it starts in 35-gallon batches, which we then dispense and put on our shelves. And the orders that come in are usually independent of what we're producing. So production is keeping the shelves full, and then the shipping department is pulling off the shelves for orders. But keeping thousands of 1 ounce colors in stock is a daunting challenge, and that's what we do here at Createx. Hi, I'm in the lab at Createx Colors. This is our color lab. And when we're making paint, we do a lot of digital color matching to have color consistency. That's this reader. So most of the paint lines we make, there is a computer digital color matching to keep batch consistencies correct. But there's still a lot of just old school craftsmanship, looking at the colors and making sure they match. And especially for colors like Bloodline, where instead of making like an umber a traditional way with 2 or 3 pigments on like more of a CMYK basis, Bloodline has a lot of what would seem to be unnecessary colors, but when those colors go from a full saturation to a tint strength, a lot of underlying pigments come to life. And so for those kind of specialty colors, we are not able to use the color matching machines, and it's just all done by eye. A lot of the transparents and candies are the same way. So making paint at Createx, we do Pantone matches and matches to other paint lines and OEM finishes, and we do use the computer for that. But a lot of just old school craftsmanship occurs as well, because we do a lot of nuanced specialty colors that aren't really conformed to making paint the traditional way with the color matching tool. So Createx is a bit new school and old school. And as I like to tell people, we're a bunch of knuckle dragging Neanderthals, but we do our best to make paint. I'm inside the Createx spray booth. This is primarily built to do videos, showing people what the paint looks like when it's sprayed properly, but we've done a lot of technique videos and project videos, and we've got a lot of R&D done in here too. This is the Createx spray booth, or the doors outside the spray booth. A few of you might know we've started doing videos on a YouTube channel quite heavily over the past few years, and made a little tradition that's fun. Anytime an artist comes and does videos with us, they have to sign the booth. Right now, there's still some space on the booth, so if the artist comes in, it's kind of easy to fit it in, but I'm looking forward to when there's not so much space, and like good graffiti rules, the artists have to sign under other people's work. So the idea is, over the years, to make this a fun memory piece of all the artists we've worked with, which is kind of cool. For Createx Colors, I'm Craig Kennedy. Thanks for joining us on this little tour. And to know more about Createx, please visit us at createxcolors.com. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel, where we try to put a lot of cool content to teach people what we're all about. Have a good one.
And that, guys, was our tour of Createx Colors Headquarters. I'm so grateful I was given the opportunity to go over there, film this video, as well as shoot some actual tutorial technique videos for them. And you can check all of those out on Createx Colors YouTube channel, as well as you can check out a bunch more tutorials on my own channel, which is Tiffany Gordon Cosplay. As well as don't forget to like this video and subscribe to both of our channels. And I will see you for our next video. Much love, guys.